They just get it off into the end zone. Contact. What a catch! A miraculous, implausible, impossible catch!
Nighttime in Lincoln is about to go absolutely crazy when Coach Prime and his Colorado Buffaloes take the field. Hello everybody, you're listening to the College Sports Superfan, and today I'm super hyped up because we're going to be talking about the rivalry game between Colorado and Nebraska that's going to be taking place at night under the lights in Lincoln, Nebraska. I think this is going to be an excellent college football game. This is a really good rivalry, and I'm so glad that it's been renewed. And so far, this is the last year of a 4-year deal between Colorado and Nebraska, where they played each other in 2018 and 2019, and then they played each other last year in 2023, and now again in 2024. And interestingly enough, Colorado has won all 3 matchups of this new deal so far, so will they get the 4-0 clean sweep? Because as we know, as of right now, it hasn't been extended for another period of time. Well, let's take a look at what Colorado is looking like right now. They're looking very similar to the same team they were last season. Incredible, super flashy, fun to watch offense, and a difficult to watch offensive line and difficult to watch defense. But let's talk about how they did against North Dakota State. Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Jimmy Horn all had incredible performances. Shedeur Sanders had 445 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns, and the 1 interception that he threw was literally a miracle interception. It bounces off a guy's calf. Good reason to work out those calf muscles after all, as it turns out. And it bounced right to a defender for an interception. That was just a miracle right there. So, Shedeur Sanders, he absolutely just carved up that North Dakota State secondary. And then his receivers, Jimmy Horn, 198 yards and a touchdown. And Travis Hunter, again, as I've said over and over again, I think he is the best player in all of college football. 132 yards and 3 touchdowns, including one of the greatest catches I think I've ever seen, honestly. So, really fun to watch game, but North Dakota State, they had a chance right at the end. They went right down the field, and yes, they're an incredible FCS team, but at the same time, Colorado, if they're the team that they think that they can be, they really probably should have won by a little bit more. Again, the defense really struggled, and it seemed like they were missing tackles a lot. Meanwhile, you take a look at Nebraska. They're starting a true freshman quarterback. Tons of hype with Dylan Raiola. He literally looks like a Patrick Mahomes clone because he happens to wear the same jersey number, which the funny story about that is he actually is wearing number 15 because he's a big Tim Tebow fan. So not because he's a huge Patrick Mahomes fan, but it's because when he grew up, he watched Tim Tebow play, and that's why he wears the number. But the fact that it's number 15, they're red colors, just like the Kansas City Chiefs. His haircut is just like Mahomes. I mean, he literally looks like a Mahomes clone, and the way he throws the football, exact same way. Baseball pitching, sidearm passes, just fantastic. And he's got a great connection with senior veteran wide receiver Isaiah Nayor. And I'm pulling for him because he's bounced around a little bit. He went to Texas, really got buried on the depth chart. That's where he wanted to play after he had a great career at Wyoming. Now he's found Nebraska, and I think he's going to have a monster season with Dylan throwing him the football. Dylan had 238 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, no turnovers in his freshman debut, not too bad. And Isaiah had 121 yards on 6 catches and a touchdown. I think he's going to have just a monster season. The other great thing about Nebraska is they were really well balanced. So I just said with Colorado, amazing passing stats by Shedeur, just mind-blowing. But the ground game could not get going at all because of that really poor offensive line. I don't think that's going to change against Nebraska as well. But Nebraska's got two great running backs. Emmett Johnson is the main starting running back. He had 71 yards. And then Gabe Ervin, who's kind of been with the team for a little while, he's just a powerful, short yardage running back. He got 2 rushing touchdowns in the game because when you need someone to score at the goal line, just go to Gabe Ervin. He's going to knock guys over, and they have a good line, and they can get it done. So before I get into my prediction of what's going to happen under the lights in Lincoln with the Red Sea all behind him, let's just talk about how this series has gone so far. These two teams first played each other in 1898, and they're separated by just 125 miles. Nebraska, though, has dominated the series historically. They lead the all-time series 49-21 with 2 ties. But in the later eras of this series, once you get into the 1980s, the late 80s, and definitely throughout the 90s, Colorado actually got much, much better, and they finally got the teams that could match and beat Nebraska's teams. In 1986, Colorado upset a number 3 ranked Nebraska team at home for their 20-10 for their first win over the Cornhuskers in 19 years. After that, in 1989, the two teams were in the top 3. Nebraska was number 3 in the country. Colorado was number 2 in the country, and the Buffs won 27-21 to win the Big 12 conference title back in 1989. But what do I think is going to happen here? There's some great history, and again, I already mentioned Colorado's won the last 3. So lately over the years, Colorado's done better. But what do I think is going to happen in this game? Nebraska's currently favored by 7.5. I'm going to say the Nebraska Cornhuskers win this game by 7. I just look at Colorado's team, and I just see them as being exactly the same as the team that went 4-8 last year. Maybe just slightly better. But against Nebraska, on the road, under the lights, when they've got a really good defense, when they're prepping up to have a really solid season, 7-8 win season, I think Nebraska is going to get their 50th win all time over this hated rival and start the year 2-0. All right, thank you guys so much for listening to the College Sports Superfan. I got 2 more predictions to go for this week, and there's going to be a special guest in both of those predictions, so stay tuned for those. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about when those come around. But thank you guys so much for listening to the College Sports Superfan.